Joining us now, White House reporter for the New York Times, Tyler Pager, also the co-author of the upcoming book, How Trump Retook the White House and the Democrats Lost America, coming out in July. Tyler, it's great seeing you. So what do we know about the release of these files? They're going to be today, all 80,000 of them?
Well, that's a great question, Jose, and there's a lot of interest in these files around the world, and we don't have a lot more detail. The president made this announcement yesterday as he was at the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts here in Washington, D.C., as he attended the board meeting. Obviously, as we've discussed on the show, he took over control of that institution after becoming president, and while there, said that he would be fulfilling this promise that he has made over the years to release more of the documents. He said it would come sometime this afternoon. Beyond that, we don't have a lot more clarity of when or how, but we're expecting, based on the president's comments, to see some of these documents, or as he said, 80,000 pages of documents later this afternoon.
So President Trump, during his first time at the White House, released some files for the JFK assassination. Do we know how many files are still to be released? And I'm just wondering, what percentage of files are still classified?
Yeah, so the National Archives and Records Administration has previously said that they believe 99% of the documents they have been released. But we don't have a great picture of all the documents that are not released. There are still, officials believe, thousands of documents and files still out there. Trump said yesterday that the American people would have a lot of reading to do and put the number at approximately 80,000 pages of documents. We don't have specific numbers, in part because a lot of this material has been kept classified over the years.
Yeah, and the fact that the president would say that these files could be released without redactions, how unusual is that?
Yeah, this is something that, Trump tried to do in his first term. He vowed, after associates had lobbied him, to release these files without redactions. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in these files. But then he ultimately relented to intelligence agencies who lobbied him to say there were national security risks by releasing those files without redactions. And so he obliged those requests. I've talked to sources who say Mr. Trump came to regret that, and now we see him trying to move forward with releasing them without redactions. What the ultimate release product will be, I think we still have questions and are waiting to find out. We could have clarity in the next few hours, but it's clear that the president is trying to move forward with this. Obviously, there's a lot of personnel involved across the intelligence agencies to get these documents ready for release. But the expectation, based on what the president said yesterday, is that these documents will be released this afternoon without redactions.
Which would be, so the big question mark is, why would intelligence sources, press for redactions 60 plus years later? What is in those files that needs to be seen? And also, when are we going to see the RFK files and the Martin Luther King Jr. files? Those are also files that a lot of us have a lot of interest in getting access to. Tyler Pager, I thank you, my friend. It's good seeing you always.